I'll begin with a roll call. Commissioner Birmingham is absent. Commissioner Gamboa?
Here.
Commissioner Sell?
Here.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Kramer?
Here.
Commissioner Krasicki is not yet present, and President Zabrowski is also absent. As a first order of business, I would entertain a motion to appoint a temporary chairperson for this meeting.
I move to appoint Vicky, Jackie as chairman, chairwoman.
Second.
Chairperson.
Second.
Thanks.
All right, roll call on I have a motion and second to appoint Jackie Kramer as the chairperson for this meeting. I will do a roll call on that. Commissioner Gamboa?
Yes.
Commissioner Sell?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
Do we need her to vote yes?
I don't.
Yes.
There you go. I think, right? 'Cause don't we need
That's a good
four?
question. I don't think so, though. I think it's just, we have to do it a majority of who can vote.
Okay.
Well, I guess the attorney can vote.
Okay.
Yeah, just majority of the four.
Okay.
What was the answer? I can't hear.
We're
Just a majority.
She can abstain.
So just,
Okay, cool. But on the agenda items, you'll need to vote, we would need all four to vote unanimously, correct? Or is it still three?
I believe it's three, but I can double check that.
So, I'm sorry, what was the question?
When we vote on items,
Yeah, so like, because there's four of us here and we need four normally to vote to approve something, do we still need four, or since there's four voting people here, do we only need three to pass something?
You'll need just a majority of what's here to pass something.
Yeah.
okay, for the roll call for the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any revisions?
No.
No? Okay. We'll take a vote.
I move to approve the minutes from March 5th as presented.
I'll second.
And we'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Gamboa?
Aye.
Commissioner Sell?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
That is all.
There we go. We'll get this smoothed out by the end of the meeting.
Sorry, my first time.
Okay.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, we have items referred from the village board. Item PC 2025-4, discussion and necessary recommendation on a site plan review of the proposed second-story addition to the property located at 6180 Industrial Court, Greendale, Wisconsin, 53219, tax parcel 695-004-001. We're open for discussion.
Do you want me to go up there? I can start.
Sure.
You can do it from here.
Yeah.
All right, so the village received an application for plan commission review for construction of a second-story addition to the property located at 6180 Industrial Court, where Gigaflight Connectivity is hoping to expand their production area and office space for light assembly work. The subject property is zoned M1, and the proposed addition is a permitted use, therefore only a site plan review is required. Because the existing site grading, landscaping, and utilities will remain unchanged, the village has agreed to waive any landscape plan and lighting plan requirements. There will be no change to the use of the building in the proposed addition, and the addition meets the floor area ratio and setback requirements, demonstrating compliance with the use and building requirements of the manufacturing district. The proposed scope includes relocation of the existing sign located on the west facade. So per section 17.09, the applicant must obtain a sign permit from the Director of Inspection Services. Lastly, the subject property currently has a parking lot with space for 15 parking stalls. The proposed addition brings the total floor area to over 10,000 square feet, yielding a requirement for 18 parking spaces. The applicant has proposed not meeting the parking requirements and has submitted a business plan letter, which is in the attachments, with reference to alternative provisions if necessary. So after reviewing the submitted materials, it's recommended that the application be conditionally approved, subject to the following. One, the Plan Commission shall determine whether the proposed 15 parking spaces are sufficient. Two, the applicant must obtain a sign permit prior to the removal and relocation of the existing sign. And three, review and approval of the site plan by the village engineer and Director of Inspection Services.
Any questions?
I have a couple questions. So you recommended approval, conditional approval based on a site plan review, but didn't you say that we didn't need a site plan?
No, not a site plan review. Conditional approval based on just we should have a discussion. I'm recommending a discussion based on whether the proposed parking spaces you deem sufficient. And then also just that they need a sign permit. But I'm recommending that the village engineer also review the site plan application. Because that's not something that, as a planner, we don't have
Okay,
we don't do that. So that's
all right.
typical.
And then my second question was regarding parking spaces. Is someone here from, can you tell us about parking spaces?
If you wouldn't mind just coming up to the podium here, or we have a handheld mic, whichever. Podium is just fine.
Hi, I'm Jeff Rosowitz. I'm the Vice President of Gigaflight. In terms of parking, we currently have no issues with our parking. We have a lot of remote workers, and then we also have a lot of people who travel on a regular basis, employees traveling on a regular basis. So we have ample parking. Even if we hire more people, we're going to have ample parking just based on the number of people who work remotely or are traveling on a regular basis. We get very few visitors. We might get a visitor once a month, and we do have the ability to accommodate that as well.
Okay,
Any other comments? Seeing none?
I'll move for approval.
based on the conditions?
Based on the conditions.
A second.
And then roll call?
Commissioner Gamboa,
Aye.
Commissioner Sell,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer.
Aye. You guys have it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving on to PC 2025-5, discussion and necessary recommendations on a proposed land swap involving the Village of Greendale transferring Grudemat Nature Preserve Tax Parcel 666-9999-002 to Milwaukee County in exchange for a portion of the Dale Creek Parkway Tax Parcel 651-9988-002 located between Grange Avenue and Southway.
All right, I can take that one. So the village has been in discussion with Milwaukee County for several months now on a land swap. The village has for a number of years, since 1995, leased the Dale Creek Parkway from the county. So the county owns the Dale Creek Parkway, which extends from Grange Avenue all the way down to by Sendix, all the way down to Southway. And so the village has leased that area, and the village has been responsible for maintaining that area, except for the creek itself, and 40 feet on each side of the creek has been the county's responsibility to maintain. And so the village has had to go through the county to get approvals on any new structures. We've had through the lease, we're able to allow for, to permit certain types of recreation activities and those types of things. But it has come up at times, people have expected a little bit more responsiveness from the county to address some of the dead trees and issues, within that creek bed itself. The county themselves has said they don't have the resources, the forestry resources to address those types of things unless there's an imminent life safety issue, like a tree is down, on somebody's yard or something that's very imminent. But there are, I think our DPW counted some 70, 80 trees that are dead that, should be taken down. And so the county kind of realizing what our residents wanted to see, what the village wanted to see as far as level of service and whatnot, we are coming up on the end of our lease. Actually, the lease expired at the end of 2024. We're just kind of carrying it forward for this year for a little bit. But the county said, hey, we're not really able to, give this land to you or even sell this land to you, but we think there's an opportunity if you'd be willing to swap some land. And for instance, the village owns the Grudermott Nature Preserve, which has a deed restriction on it, must remain a nature preserve, can't be built upon. It's open to the public, you can walk through it and there's pathways in there. But the county said, we have a preservation department that will do, that gets grant money and stuff for certain ecological studying and activities where the county would be happy to own this and to do those types of activities there. In exchange would trade the parkway area to the village, and so that would give the village the full autonomy to, approve its own structures and plans and activities and those types of things. But also then we would, we'd have to create a plan, which we're prepared to do, to remove the dead trees. It may take place over a few years or kind of a phased approach, but that's something that we're willing and working on setting up. But the county has, through their staff and board, our expressed approval of this plan, and the village board is interested as well. And so state statutes require that any sort of acquisition of land in this way has to go through the plan commission, has to go through the village board. And so the process would be, we're asking the plan commission's approval tonight, or recommendation of approval of this land swap if you're in agreement with it. And then if it gets village board approval, there are a couple documents that the village would be executing, including a restrictive covenants documents, which I provided the drafts, and then there'll be quit claim deeds as well. A couple other items are on this agenda, including, so right now the Grudermott Nature Reserve is zoned R5 multifamily residential, which I think is just a carryover of maybe at one time there was some development ideas, but I don't know that it's buildable. And then those deed restrictions were put on the property. So as an extra layer of protection, or just to kind of confirm the current use as park, later on this agenda, we have a recommendation to rezone it as park. And then we also have something on this agenda to approve a certified survey map that will help divide up the land that would be acquired by the village. But as just the general terms of the exchange, both parties are agreeing to maintain the properties as undeveloped parkland. The deed restrictions would carry forward on the Grudermott Nature Preserve. We are specifically prohibiting any buildings, structures, telecommunications. And those are kind of the main conditions. So at this point, interested in any questions, thoughts from the Planning Commission? Our village attorney, Luke Martell, is here as well, who's helping guide us through the legal process of this. So, yeah.
Will the exchange involve any dollar amounts?
None.
Any compensation?
No.
And this lease that the village has with the county, is there a annual amount, dollar amount attached to that?
No, it's just been, we have maintenance responsibilities. We've had to mow and maintain trees that are outside of the creek beds, and they've been responsible for the areas within the creek beds.
Anyone else?
So Milwaukee County doesn't have the money to take care of the land there, but then they do have money to take care of the preserve?
Yes, but they're anticipating very little maintenance needed for the preserve itself. It's kind of just, they may need to clear things I think there's a path that goes through there. They may need to clear things if a tree falls on the path or something like that, but they're definitely seeing less of a maintenance responsibility than the creek bed itself. And one question may be, well, why does the village want to take on those costs or that responsibility? And the answer would be, well, for one, we would like it to be in a little bit better condition than what it is now, and to do that, unfortunately, we have to maybe take that into our own hands. But two is, it gives us an level of autonomy we don't currently have as far as the use of the parks themselves, and there's been a strong connection to these parks because these are our main downtown park land, and we really want to do like a plan for, we call the Daffodil Park area. We want to create a committee to do a plan for that park and, make it a very nice downtown park. But yeah, to get back to your question, I think there's very little, if at all, responsibilities maintenance-wise on the nature preserve.
And then looking at the map, there's like wooded area in between the Grudamat Preserve and the houses. Does the Greendale currently own that?
Yes, yep. Yeah, so we would continue to own that. There's an outlot that's between the nature preserve and the subdivision. The village would continue to own that, and I guess I'm like 90% sure of that. I don't remember, there might be a possibility that that's owned by the subdivision, but I don't believe it is. But yeah, I'm almost positive. I can verify now, but I believe that's village owned.
Okay.
I do have a question. We have a 40-year agreement for this? Is there a reason why it's not just, we're making this exchange and it's permanent?
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, so the state legislature put into effect that the statute of limitations for deed restrictions is 40 years. So it's only enforceable for 40 years. So this is the maximum that we can put in there. We also put in language that if that were to change in the future, if the law were to change in the next 40 years, then it would, we would automatically adopt whatever that statute of limitations is. So on Grudamat, as Mike mentioned, there's actually a current restriction on there from 1991. That would remain in effect. This doesn't supersede it, but it would probably only remain in effect until 2031. But these new deed restrictions cover what the board wanted to, their main concern with this property is keep it a park, don't put cell towers, don't let it go commercial. So that's as far out as we can legally push it, is 40 years. If that changes, it'll change, but that's as good as we can do.
And from what I read, there's no construction on here except for bathrooms, paths, lighting, birdhouses, things like that. But it cannot, there's some misconception in the community on social media that they're going to sell off these lots and build on them, and we're going to lose our parks. And I know that's not true by reading this.
Yeah, this prohibits that.
So there's no building on these properties other than the bathroom that's going to be going.
Right, park-related structures would be,
Like
allowed.
a gazebo.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But, and the county was in complete agreement with that. They don't want to change the properties either. They want these both to remain parks. They don't want it to go into, the hands of a cell company or whatever. The other restriction that is not in our new restriction, but is in the other restrictions that would carry through, is if they were to transfer the property, which we don't anticipate that happening, but if they were, they could only do it to another governmental entity. So I think that provides a little more reassurance that it's not going to get, developed or anything like that.
Okay. So, anybody else?
Then just confirming, the village does own the outlot that's between Grudemont and that subdivision there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, with everything being said, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the land swap involving the Village of Greendale transferring Grudemont Nature Preserve tax parcel 66699990002 to Milwaukee County in exchange for a portion of the Dale Creek Parkway tax parcel 65199880002 located between Grange Avenue and Southway, subject to rezoning the Grudemont Nature Preserve property to park and approval of a certified survey map to divide the Dale Creek Parkway property.
Second. Nice.
Well done.
Can we have a roll call?
Yes, Commissioner Gamboa,
Aye.
Commissioner Sell,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. And moving on to PC 2025-6, discussion and necessary recommendation on a certified survey map submitted by the Village of Greendale to create separate tax parcels for Reserve C, D, E, and F relating to tax parcel 6519988-002 owned by Milwaukee County.
As I mentioned, this is the certified survey map is needed to divide up the Dale Creek Parkway because right now it's actually part of a very large regional parcel that the county owns that also includes Scout Lake and Drew River Parkway. And so it needs to be divided up. And so our village engineer created the certified survey map. This is a draft version. It's in your packet. They're still verifying everything in the field. The final version will be ready for the village board, but at this time, requesting the Plan Commission's recommendation to approve the certified survey map.
Any questions?
There's a lot of work. And it touches a lot of parcels as well. Do you see any potential conflicts with property owners after this is completed?
Well, I don't, but I mean, one thing, and one thing the county spends a lot of time on is, what's the word? When there's different properties or uses that kind of drift onto the county property, you know, that's something that the village now has on its plate as well. And so it's not really on our radar right now, but it's something that, you know, we have to think about. But we have it for other parks as well. But yeah, you're right. It's an irregularly shaped area. It kind of goes around a lot of different parcels. And so I would say there probably are some minor sort of conflicts, you know, with property owners maybe using, you know, crossing these lines a little bit. And that's something we'll have to look at in the future.
Yeah, I mean, just the thought of if private property owners start just encroaching on, now it was Milwaukee County's problem, now it's gonna be our problem, that we're not letting it slide, because then we have all these parcels that go through that.
Yeah, that's a great point. We've spent probably most of our time talking about the tree situation, but I think, yeah, the encroachment issue, and I think when the village takes ownership of it, will be a good opportunity to try to nip those and to say, you know, we've acquired this property, we've reviewed the, you know, the maps, and, you know, there's a potential encroachment that, you know, we'd like to see addressed, and I'm sure village attorney's office has templates and things to work off of to address those sort of things, so not sure if you have any thoughts on how we'd address that.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul, maybe you'd be the one doing the inspections there, but I guess what we usually do is just send out a compliance letter first. If they don't comply, we've got options to go for citations if we really want to push enforcement, and even beyond that, if citations don't push get them to comply, then we always have the ability to go to circuit court and get injunctive relief which allows us to go on their property and remove whatever encumbrances exist at their expense. So obviously, that's the most extreme, we want to try to avoid that because that takes time and costs money and all that stuff. But we do have the ability to enforce our code that way. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, and just a couple letters will do the trick, but that's what we
Yeah.
start with.
Hopefully there aren't too many issues, but
Well, and full disclosure, I live on Clover Lane. So my backyard does go to Valley Park, which is parcel number 3, outlot 3. And I've been there since 1989. And the most I've ever seen as an encroachment is my neighbor who mows the lawn an extra 10 feet. I mean, I've never seen anybody in all the years I've been there in any of the parks going farther. I think Schoolway probably has the biggest chance of that because they go to the creek. The backyard is private. It doesn't have a sidewalk going through it, but it's also, you can't even see it from the sidewalk on the other side. So just from all the years I've been here, I've never seen it.
Is it pretty obvious where the property line is in the?
Yeah, the electrical boxes and the power box, electrical and cable, and I've got a big green box in the corner.
Okay.
That's all on the lot line. And then the village has been mowing the lawn forever.
Okay.
So they come through and mow everything. Like I said, the only thing I ever saw was my neighbor to the right that just goes out a little farther, so it feels bigger.
Sure.
I think in the last 9 years or so that I've been working with the village, I don't know that we've ever had to take one to circuit court. I think the letters, knock out 90% of them, the citations knock out the rest. They come to municipal court, they'll talk to Christopher, and he's a reasonable guy. They'll work out some deal for them to get the property fixed up, and maybe he'll knock the fine down or waive the fine if they get it done within a certain amount of time. And that, at least here, in other municipalities I work with, we've got some, people that don't want to comply, and we have to go, nuclear on them. But here, I don't think we've had any issues with compliance that I'm aware of. I don't know if you remember any, but.
So I'll reach out to the county. I know they've sent out letters to people, and they've told me, I think it was last year, they sent out some letters, and there's I want to say Schoolway. There's a stretch of some houses there that I remember them looking at on Schoolway that they themselves were mowing into the parcel and maybe had some stuff in that park parcel. And so I'll check into where that stands as far as those compliance efforts. But it may be something that we need to it'll be our responsibility, and we'll need to pick up where they left off. But just kind of giving an overview, I don't see a lot of issues. That maybe is the only kind of potential area where there's a few parcels that are, like, there's one of them from the aerial map that's pretty obviously using it as their backyard in the way it's maintained and there's stuff in there. So that's the type of thing that we'll have to address. But it seems to be pretty, here, it seems to be pretty isolated to those instances.
Are there any structures or anything weird like that? 'Cause
Not
that's really
like
not
obvious,
tricky.
no. I don't see,
If it's just stop mowing this part of the parcel, that's pretty easy
Yeah, if
to.
it's a fire pit or a picnic table or
That's
something.
pretty
fine.
easy to move.
Yeah, but if you got a shed or a.
Yeah, somebody built a garage on our land or something, that's a
Yeah.
different story, but.
very good.
but yeah, so it's a great question, and I will certainly do some more research on it before we bring this to the village board, and so they have a good understanding of what responsibilities, encroachment-wise, we might have in front of us.
Okay, any more comments? Can I get a motion?
I move to recommend approval of a certified survey map submitted by the Village of Greendale to create separate tax parcels for reserve C, D, E, and F relating to tax parcel 65199880002 owned by Milwaukee County.
Second.
Can we get a roll call?
Commissioner Gamboa,
Aye.
Commissioner Sell,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer.
Aye.
Commissioner Kosowski.
Aye. Make it pronounce.
Okay, with that, it passes. And last, we have PC 2025-7, discussion and necessary recommendations on an ordinance to amend the Village of Greendale zoning map, section 17.10, subsection 2, to rezone the tax key number 666999002 to the P-Park District.
So as I mentioned before, as another layer of, say, protecting, but ensuring this land maintains its parkland, noticing that it was zoned R5 multifamily residential, we thought it was appropriate to have this rezoned as park. And so the comprehensive plan, there's no inconsistencies with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan talks about this particular neighborhood maintaining the current open spaces as open spaces, preserving those. So we see no conflicts or issues with rezoning it to the P designation.
Any discussion? Seeing that there's none, can I get a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance amending the Village of Greendale zoning map, section 17.102, to rezone tax key number 666999002 to the P Park District.
Second, anyone second?
Sure, second.
And we can have a roll call.
Commissioner Gamboa,
Aye.
Commissioner Sell,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer,
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Kucharski.
With that, we have it passed. That is the last thing on our agenda, so I would like to get a motion to adjourn
Move to adjourn.
Second.
and roll call.
Commissioner Gamboa,
Aye.
Commissioner Sell,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Kramer.
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Kucharski.
And with that, we are adjourned.
Thanks, you did a fine job.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
It's been 10 years, I guess it was time.
I hope you didn't wait for me.
Not long.
Had to break some laws, but it's all right. I was hoping the village president was here to fix that ticket. I'm just kidding.
Need the police chief for that.
Oh, darn it.
So I was told it's pronounced Kozarzicki?
Yeah, Kosarzycki, but
Kozarzicki?
there you go. You got it.
Okay.